Here's what you can look forward to on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
There's a lot of things that are very not glamorous involved about speaking. And I think when the big light bulb goes on for people is when they realize that some of these large conferences will spend more on coffee than they will on their speaking fee.
Cinderella story. Out of nowhere, former groundskeepers about to be the Masters champions. The Nice Guys on Business podcast. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, Nice Guy community, welcome back. It is Friday. You made it through the week. My name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler.
This interview takes me back to almost episode number 1, Jane Atkinson. Jane was my speaking coach. I am so excited that she came on the show. Crazy to think that I actually have someone that helped me do anything. Jane is an amazing person. She has a program called The Wealthy Speaker. Oh wait, she's got a business called Speaker Launcher. Isn't that the name of her company officially?
Speaker Launcher?
I think so. Is that founder of Speaker Launcher?
Oh, yeah. I think you're right.
Oh, come on. That's what it is.
Okay, normally when we do these intros, I will pull up the website of the person that was being interviewed and all the details, so I've got all that stuff in front of me, but you've known Jane for years and she's your coach, so I didn't even bother to pull that all that stuff up because I figured you knew it all.
You know how I am with the details, though. It's the details. I mean, I know that Jane was my speaking coach. I know that she is amazing. I know that she has launched many speakers' careers, helped them with the marketing side of things, helped them get prepared for the stage with the platform, with the message, all of that great stuff. And I know how amazing she is and how many people have referred to her. But I can't remember company names and stuff.
Okay. No, good point. That's why we're a good pair, because I usually do that, although I have dropped the ball this time. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I will let you off the hook here, but don't let it happen again, Strickland.
Okay, no problem. I won't let it happen.
So Jane is on the show today. We talk about the importance of starting. If you're going to build a speaking career, there is definitely a ready, aim, fire approach, and Jane understands that, and she's all about ready, aim, fire. And just a great interview. So I think you should tune in. Did we do the promise statement? Did we do anything?
No, we didn't.
This is not
Patreon.
as tight as it normally.
No, not anywhere near. But that's because we want to show Jane all the progress you've made, over the years and how much she's helped. Yeah, this will do a really good job of that, won't it?
I think so. The best part about it is when we actually get to the interview part, I just let Jane talk because she's so amazing and she helps me. She really does. I was a little intimidated. I tell you, when I first connected with Jane, I wasn't even sure if the invitation for me to ask her on the podcast was an appropriate one because I was afraid that she might say no.
She could. I mean, no, she's nice.
She didn't.
It's okay.
She didn't. She did me right. She really did.
So if you want to support the show, go to Patreon /Nice Guys. And for as little as $1 a month, you can help keep the lights on for us. We would certainly appreciate it. And then I don't think you got to the promise statement yet. Have you done?
Okay. It's patreon.com /Nice Guys. So I do remember that is definitely the details of that. The promise statement is to provide a learning experience that is entertaining and adds value to your life. Call us, reach us, find us. Twitter's the easiest spot. @NiceGuyOnBiz is Strickland. I am @DJ Doug. Either spot is to get to us, so I think we're ready to get to the interview. Should we do it?
Yeah, did you do the promise statement?
I just did it. Where were you?
Did it? I don't know. I was busy.
Hold on a second. We've done 3 intros this week. We don't have any more to do. So what could you possibly be doing? Are you logging off? Is that what you're trying to figure out?
I'm putting recordings into the drive for Anna so she can do our show notes. It's just crazy. So much stuff going on.
He's very, very busy. He's very busy.
I am.
Strickland, when I come back in my next life, I hope to be as busy as successful as you.
Well, they are two independent things. I mean, just because I'm busy doesn't necessarily mean I'm successful.
Very true. So while you are putting stuff into the drive, why don't we get to the interview with Jane Atkinson here on the Nice Guys on Business, proud to be affiliated with the C-Suite Radio Network. Let's get to Jane. Without today's guest, my friend Jane Atkinson, there's no Nice Guys podcast. Jane, founder of Speaker Launcher, has the knack of creating wealthy speakers. As a matter of fact, is head of an incredible machine. I like to call that a machine because it really is. Jane has launched the careers of countless professional speakers, set them all down the right path, and watched from the sidelines as they have soared. If you've ever considered a career in professional speaking, listen up right now. If you want to learn through hard work and dedication about building any business, Jane is a very good example to follow, so listen carefully. There is no BS in this woman, so nobody screw around with us. Welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast, Jane.
That might be the nicest introduction anybody's ever given me. Thank you so much, Doug.
All right. Well, yeah, I always tell everybody, my mom writes all the intros, so I just say, okay.
Thanks, Mom.
All right. It's all good. Jane, I cannot express the appreciation that I have and the fact that I love that you're here today. So again, thank you for being a part of the podcast today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
And honestly, it all started with you. I mean, really, it did. And you've coached Hall of Famers, and you've had many partnerships with them as well. Share with the Nice Guy community just like a real broad brush stroke of what you do, Jane, and then we can kind of fine tune it from there.
Okay, well, today I have a company that through various mediums, books, online courses, one-on-one private coaching, really helps speakers take their careers from wherever it is to wherever they'd like it to go. And for the most part, we focus on the business side of things. So getting their marketing in place, and I have a process that we take everybody through that allows them to soar more quickly.
Yeah, and that's a really good encapsulation, if that's even a word. I don't know. I try to make up new words as we go through this. It's just a good description of exactly what you do. And I can remember running up to Ryan Estes, and actually I just spoke to Ryan yesterday. Nice Guy community, you may not know Ryan, but he is actually going to be a guest on the show. I just spoke to him yesterday, Jane,
awesome.
after I remembered you were coming on today, and I said, I got to really get to Ryan, so he agreed to come on the show. I can remember basically sprinting up to Ryan from the back of the room and asking him about being a professional speaker, and he only said two words to me. He said Jane Atkinson. And so you have many fans that I have found out through the years that out there in the world. So start from there. How did you make the transition from being a professional? Because at one point you were a professional, or you still are a professional speaker yourself. So what made you want to do the other side of it?
Well, actually, the truth is that I've never considered myself a quote unquote professional speaker. When I go out to speak, it's typically to groups of professional speakers, and I often will do it in order to build my business, which maybe some of your listeners are thinking that they might do as well. My background was an agent, and so for the first half of my 30-year career, I was representing speakers, and people would, after my first or second speaker, maybe 5-6 years in the business, people would start to ask me, how did you make so-and-so so successful? And, they always wanted to take me to lunch to pick my brain. This was down in Texas later on in the career. And so I thought, someday I'm going to charge for this. And so first half was individual speakers. Very first speaker was 3 years basement office straight commission. That was kind of my throw me into the deep end of the pond.
So the first speaker that you actually, as an agent, the first speaker you represented said, okay, we're going to spend some time together, and you're going to work all commission. If you book me, you get paid. If you don't book me, you don't eat this week.
Exactly.
So you get to learn to be really good as a salesperson doing something like that.
Really quickly, and I must say she was an amazing mentor, and she was an author of a book on leadership, and I really learned everything. And she would go to the National Speakers Association and bring me back, sets of cassette tapes. This is dating me, of course. And I would just, take in everything that was available and learn the industry. So I learned at the feet of some of the masters of the industry. Tom Wininger was somebody whose Book It series, I really, really absorbed, and we took everything he said to heart, and we did exactly what he said, and our business doubled every year for 3 years. And then I got recruited out to Vancouver to work with another speaker. I went from basement office, straight commission, to working for a multimillionaire, and we're flying around in private jets and helicopters. It was
Wow.
an insane transition. And he wanted to speak more, and so he brought me into his publishing company that he had and put me in a corner office beside him, and I learned so much about business in general from him. That was Peter Legg. And then I got recruited down to Texas to work for Vince Pacenti, who was an Olympic athlete, and his wife ran a speakers bureau. So I got to have 6 years under the roof of a speakers bureau, which was incredible experience. 2 of those years, I actually ran their exclusives division, and so we had some celebrities and best-selling authors in that division that I was able to represent and book. So really, by that time, I really, really started to understand the industry and what it took to get booked.
What's so great about what you just said, and I just mentioned just a moment ago, just about egos. I mean, you have dealt with every ego in the book. And who would you rather deal with? Somebody that feels like they need to have a rider as a part of their contract, or somebody that's willing to do anything to go out and speak?
Oh, well, the latter, of course, because, yeah, I had a few celebs, and I'm not going to name any names, but oh boy, it wasn't actually the celeb themselves, but the lawyer attached to this one particular sports figure who I just thought was not on the up and up. And I hate anything that is somehow unethical. And it just really wasn't the best case scenario. But somebody who said to me, you tell me whatever I need to do and I'll go and do it, great. When they come with a lot of ego, and I just had a conversation with somebody out of the sports world last week who I just thought, I don't think we're going to get along that well. I'll pass on this one, thank you. So I have this little vetting process. I have this Focus 40 session that I'll do with people that will really allow me to see whether or not they're coachable. And if they're not, then we'll say goodbye after that first session.
Well, I think always as a guy that has begin, I always think I'm still in the beginning process. I guess we're all learning at various parts of our career. But if somebody that is working his way through the process, yes, as many others in my position will do, we're willing to speak pretty much for anything. Give me exposure, give me money, give me an audience. I mean, it's almost like if you just feed my ego with providing an audience, I feel good sometimes. But who doesn't like that is the speaking bureaus. And so there's a lot of people that go through, because there's a guy that's not as established as a Hall of Famer. The speaking agencies and the bureaus, they don't even want to talk to guys like me. And I'm not saying this from an ego stroke perspective, but many of the people in our nice guy community, in our audience also, they're in the same position. I think it's the vast minority that are the ones that are actually able to make any headway with the bureaus and the agencies. So what kind of advice can you give to somebody that's really just starting out, trying to figure out what they need to do in order to just lay that shingle out and just start moving? They want to speak at any cost.
Well, the agencies aren't really going to want to know about you until you get, say, to a fee, say, between $5,000 and $10,000. That's at the point where somebody actually is making some money, with the middleman involved. So, and when you do that, you need to be consistent about your fees. And I really am not a proponent of speak to anyone who will listen forever for free.
Right.
I really want to see my clients at some point drawing the line in the sand and say, okay, I've paid my dues now. I've gone out and spoken to anyone who will listen for the first year of my career, and now I'm going to say my fee is this, and this is what I charge, and I will hold tough to that. So please don't get the wrong impression. The if you're just starting out, well, I'll tell you about the Ready, Aim, Fire process. I think that's probably helpful
and
in
I love
terms
this.
of figuring out what to do first, right?
Totally.
This is what helps me always know where my clients are in the situation. So in the ready stage, we get crystal clear on what we're selling, and we develop some marketing language around that to make sure that people will know very quickly how we're going to be able to help them. That's typically what we're after is, what problem are you going to be able to help solve? That's what people will pay for. So that's the ready box. We check that. Then we move into aim and we make sure that our website is reflective of this clarity. So I come out to your website and boom, I get it within about 10 seconds how you're going to help me and my company. It doesn't necessarily say, hire me, I'm a speaker. It says, this is the problem our company helps solve, and speaking is one of the ways that we do that. And then we roll into fire. And a lot of people, this is where they begin, and which is why they usually end up coming to see me. We roll it out to our target markets. And so we have a very specific plan of who we're going to, typically we'll choose 2 or 3 industries to connect with and start to plant seeds in so that we can kind of become known for our topic in those industries. So Ready, Aim, Fire is the process. And if somebody's new, then in the ready phase, we go back to ready with them and we talk about kind of picking a lane. What topic do you want to be known for 5 years from now? That's where we would begin.
So for somebody that's just starting out, and as many people are, because you get this funnel, the siphon effect, where you have hundreds or thousands of people that want to be speakers, and then they discover, hey, there's actually some work that's involved in this, and there's some other process. Can you share something that most people are just missing out on, rather than, I know many people just go to the fire part, but what is part of the ready that people are just missing?
Well, the pick a lane is often missed, and I think I would also say positioning as an expert first and speaker second. And what I mean by that is a lot of people will say, okay, I want to become a professional speaker. And so they go out and they start looking at a whole bunch of speakers' websites. And they get the impression that in order to be a speaker, I need to position that way. And so I come onto their website 6 months later and it says, hire me, I'm a speaker. I speak on all these topics. The positioning of that is kind of old school. We used to be able to book quote unquote speakers. And now my friend Brian Palmer from National Speakers Bureau said it beautifully. Clients no longer want to hire quote unquote speakers. They want to hire smart people who happen to speak. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we've switched the positioning around to being an expert. And excuse me, when you are an expert, speaking is likely just one of the ways that you're going to transmit your knowledge. You're a great example of that, Doug. You have a podcast, you've written books, you do speaking. Some other people might add coaching and consulting to the mix. And so there's lots of different ways for you to distribute your knowledge. And that's one of the things that we want to take into account when we're positioning on our website. So kind of be aware of how you're positioning.
And that's definitely a great advice. And let's put some reality into it so that people understand what happens beyond when your speaking career gets off the ground and starts running. Share with us a little bit of the quote unquote the glamorous life, because it's not necessarily as glamorous as everybody says.
It's so glamorous. Pulling your my friend Rick Butts said taking your wheel. What did he call the luggage? Anyway, rolling your luggage down a hotel hallway at 2:00 in the morning, having just been delayed. There's a lot of travel involved. There's a lot of things that are very not glamorous involved about speaking. And I think when the big light bulb goes on for people is when they realize that some of these large conferences will spend more on coffee than they will on their speaking fee. They really try to put themselves into their place as a cog in a whole big system, a whole big machine that is running. And so that's why, for instance, just a little tip, if you're giving a speech at a conference, you want to run on time. Right. You don't want to run over, because that's going to send the machine out of whack. There are certain do's and don'ts about speaking at those events that you want to take into account, because you realize that that is your place as the cog.
Yeah, oftentimes it's funny because when you're in a line of many speakers, and whether you're a keynote speaker going after another speaker that's getting paid to be there as well, if you run long, you know what that does? That shortens their schedule too. And the problem is now you got a guy that's pissed at you because you went 20 minutes over and took 20 minutes of his time.
Yes, and not only is he mad, but the meeting planner is definitely mad, because they are the ones that have a schedule to keep. What you need to be prepared for as well as a quote-unquote pro is that the president of the organization may very likely run long, and they may cut your time. So you have to kind of be prepared to say, okay, I'm going to take this 15 minutes. You can have kind of 10-minute chunks that you need to be prepared to take out of your presentation on the fly.
If you're not flexible, then the professional speaking world is not for you. Because
yes, there'll be no Sheldon Coopers.
Your plane's never going to be on time. You're never going to go on exactly when you said. And the president always has the right to trump you, no matter how much they pay. Now, I'm okay with getting paid to sit in the front row and only delivering 10 minutes of my 45-minute long keynote.
Exactly.
It's fine with me. It's fine with me. My dad always used to say that you don't pay me to speak to your organization. You pay me to put my ass on the plane, to get inconvenienced, to sit next to the kid that's sneezing on me. That's why you pay me. You don't pay me. I do this stuff free. You pay me to do all the other shit that I don't want to do.
The stage time, you really love it so much that you would do it for free. And that's really the goal, kind of circling back to picking a lane. We're really trying to come to a place in the topic that you choose where passion and profits intersect.
Yeah.
And so you love it so much that you would speak for free is kind of the goal.
Yeah, and I do, and I love it, and I would speak for free, except my mortgage company does not take good intentions. They only take my collateral.
And as your coach, I would recommend that you stop saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Jane, I want to talk about a couple of tools, tips, and tricks that might help. Is there a piece of technology that you really find that you couldn't do without in doing your job?
Well, this is really more for other coaches out there. The first major shift when I really started to focus on only doing the things that I was very uniquely qualified for. So I consider my 3 core competencies to be writing, coaching, and selling. Mm-hmm. And so outside of those, I don't really want to be doing any of it. I farm it out to my team or whatever. But I also realized that I was doing a lot of calendaring. And so I just picked up, as many people have done now in the podcasting world, certainly as well, I just picked up a tool for doing my calendar. That's a massive productivity tool.
What's yours? What do you use?
Well, I use Timcenter. I don't know if it's the best one out there. I've seen lots of different ones because I'm on a lot of people's podcasts, and I think they're all very good.
Yeah, I think I'm using, I know I'm using Acuity, and it seems to be really good. I can send out all my Q&A through it. I have a little question and answer thing. I send up my follow-up. I mean, there's a lot of things that it's able to do. It links directly with my MailChimp account, and probably Timecenter probably does a lot of similar things.
Yes.
Talk about a tip for a moment. Something that if my Nice Guy community, after they get done listening to the podcast, they now say, you know what, now this is the catalyst that I needed to start this professional speaking thing. Is there an action item, an action tip that you can provide to them right now in order to do it?
Well, it's totally self-serving, Doug. But
that's okay.
Really,
that's all right.
The Wealthy Speaker 2.0 is the book that I wrote just for people like that who wanted to get started, who wanted to understand. And people show me their books all the time, and they're all Post-it noted and dog-eared, and I love that. I really would love for you to pick up a copy of that book. It doesn't matter for me if you come onto speakerlauncher.com or go to Amazon or wherever. It's a really good book. It's a really good place to start.
And it's a totally great place to start, and that's the place that I started. And I can't remember which book was just coming out as we were on the tail end of our which.
That would have been the Epic Keynote.
That's right. That's your follow-up.
Presentation Skills and Styles of Wealthy Speakers. And so the Epic Keynote is a really nice book in tandem. Some people will read the first third of The Wealthy Speaker, and then they'll realize, okay, well, I really want to work on the speech now, and so they'll dive into the other book.
I can remember those, Jane and I, Nice Guy Community, so you're aware of how our relationship started. It started through this guy, Ryan Estes, and who I've talked about ad nauseum, I'm sure, on the show. It's the same with you, Jane. I always mention your name, and people are like, who the hell is Jane Atkinson?
Oh, that's so nice.
So I can remember those calls that I would book with you, and Jane is in Canada, and I was in Washington, D.C. at the time, where I was maybe even in Baltimore, and I was we did it on Skype, and I can remember filling out the homework for you, and very similar to how my relationship with Rob Jollis went, who was my book writing coach. I was afraid that if I did not show up prepared for that, you were going to fire me as a client. So I'm like, I am never showing up to Jane's appointment. Whenever I saw Jane on the calendar, I'm like, a week ahead of time, I started getting nervous. I'm like,
wow.
I just want,
good
you've had a huge impact, huge
That's good
impact.
information. Well, you do want to get your money's worth. So if you did show up unprepared, you probably know by now, I wouldn't, there'd be no spanking or anything. However, you wouldn't get the most bang for your buck. So really, I don't do a ton of hand holding. However, you get out what you put into the process, and those who put in a lot, they get a lot out, and they accelerate very, very quickly, like you have, like Ryan has. Ryan just did everything that we talked about. Okay, do this. All right, he'd go and do it. And so it's the people who do that accelerate so quickly.
I was always the rebel, not that Jane knows, but after, we would get done with the calls, Nice Guy Community, or in Jane, I'm telling you this too, after I would get done with the calls, I'm thinking, I'm the kind of guy that walks into Home Depot and buys a doorknob and uses it for anything other than using it on a door to open and close the door. So I'll figure out a way around everything. So I would take all the information that you gave me, and I would do things like start the podcast, really develop the blog, work on my network, all of the other things. Now, I knew that speaking would be a part of my career, but I didn't think, I wasn't the kind of guy that wanted to get on an airplane and speak 50 times a year at all of these places. I mean, speaking a couple times a month to me would get that ego stroke met and the dollar need met also. But the podcast, I can literally sitting in my pajamas right now doing this podcast. I could not imagine a better way to earn a career and build a network other than this. This has been a phenomenal way to do it.
I feel exactly the same way, and that's why I have not built my own career around the trading time for dollars in terms of speaking. I don't want to be on a plane. I have only been married for 10 years, but I kind of feel like a newlywed. I want to stay home.
Yeah.
And in the summertime, we're going to be spending it all up at the cottage. And so I have mapped out the business model that is perfect for me. And I have had clients before, Dan Miller being one of them. You may know him from the 48 Days community. Dan came through my program and went, actually, speaking more is what I thought I wanted, but we're going to be more strategic about it. And I'm actually going to bring people to me. And, he turned it around and made it perfect for him too. So I really applaud that you've done that with your podcast and figured out. And, way back when you were doing that, Doug, I don't even know that I would have said that's a perfect thing to do, but I would now because you've shown a different way to do it. And now I know that there's lots and lots of paths.
Well, there's a tremendous amount of paths, and that's one of the things I try to get across with my community all the time is that it's not, you don't have to follow behind, if somebody looked at it and said, hey, well, Doug, you walked up to this guy, Ryan, and you wanted to be exactly like him, and you wanted to go out and speak 50 or 75 times a year, and he would take the summers off because he was getting so busted with going out there so often. And I looked at what he was doing, and many speakers at his level were doing, and I thought, I don't think I want to do it to that degree, but I really love the idea of going out there and speaking professionally. It does get a number of those needs met that I have financially, ego, systems, just getting out of my house. I mean, those things are great.
We do have to get out of our pajamas every once in a while.
Every once in a while, I don't love doing that. Hey, and give me one more item. Give me is there any type of mind hack or special way that you trick yourself into doing things on mine's like, I do yoga and meditation before I earn my cup of coffee in the morning. Is there anything like that you do?
Well, I actually have, and we've been giving it away a lot lately, a meditation that is so good. It's called the Wealthy Speaker Meditation. It's only 10
hey,
minutes.
Jane, hold on. Hey, Jane, is this something you've created? I am sensing a theme here.
Well, actually, we don't sell it. I give it away. And
okay.
So, and you could even go and get it on YouTube too. But I find that any time that I'm starting to feel just kind of out of balance, if something isn't quite right, I go back to it. So it's just a guided meditation that puts you on the path. So let's say as a business owner, you're feeling like, oh, the revenue's not coming in the way I need it to. You don't want to be approaching your market from a place of desperation. You really want to be approaching it from a place of confidence.
Right.
And so this wealth meditation, Catherine Schneider is actually the one that did it for me. And so you can get it on YouTube, or you can come across to speakerlauncher.com, and we give it away all the time. If anybody wants to email me for it, I'm happy to send it out.
We'll make sure we put a link in the show notes how to get to your website. I want to ask you to take your speakers and speaker coach hat off for a second and put your hat on as an entrepreneur. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and they're just rapid fire questions. So just spend maybe 5 or 10 seconds. I'll do my best, although I screw up on this all the time, not to interrupt you as you're answering the questions.
Okay.
But here comes first one. Be relatable, Jane. Is there something that you suck at?
Oh, I suck at lots of things. What do I suck at? The most is it's tough to choose just one. Let me think. Watching the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Too much or not enough?
Looking at the statistics of everything, money and all of the numbers, I should be watching them a lot closer.
Oh, that's funny. I'm sorry. I promised I wasn't going to interrupt you. I watch them so much. That's my problem. Yeah, I go completely the other way. I'm like down to the minute penny going out the door, or the click, or the whatever it is. That's yeah. Be transparent. How did you pay your bills when you first got going? I think I know the answer to this question, but how did you do it?
I was so very fortunate in that I had kind of a contract position with a woman named Karen Harris, who had me run a portion of her business for her. So she had some exclusive speakers, and I managed her bureau. That funded my first 2 years of coaching in such a dramatic fashion that it really wasn't that difficult. So yeah. I got really, really lucky, Doug.
Be confident. What do you do as a business owner or an entrepreneur that's as good as it gets, Jane?
I would say that I can hold my own when it comes to giving a presentation, even though that's not, people don't pay me $10,000 to do it. I think when people come to my 3-hour workshops, they walk away like their minds are pretty full, and I think I deliver it in a very meaningful way.
Oh, and you absolutely do. And I can just tell you from my coaching, Nice Guy community, with my coaching with Jane, and this is not selling Jane, this is just the reality of how Jane is. I have a notebook full of notes that I've gone back to many times through the last 4 years, 3.5 years, and said, I remember I had a conversation with Jane about that. How would she handle? A lot of the things that go off in my head is, what would Jane do? What would Jane do? Be humble. What experts do you call upon to make shit happen when it's just not happening for you? You have so many great connections.
I really have an amazing community. I actually have a coach named Dan Sullivan who runs the Strategic Coach, and it's outside of the industry, which is kind of what I love about it. And when I get stuck, I call my own individual coach and say, hey, I know there's a tool that Dan's developed that I can use to work my way through this. So I have a mastermind that's a part of that group as well. And there's some really smart people who have encouraged me to do things that I never thought I would do in my business.
All right, Jane, it's taken me 3.5 or 4 years to get here, but I just yesterday, as a matter of fact, as of the date of this recording, just yesterday, I signed up for the National Speakers Association.
Awesome.
And I've signed up for the Orlando convention coming up in
I will be
Orlando.
there speaking on the Monday, and so I usually do a little client event, and we'll have to hang out.
Oh, we totally will. I just remember when you came to D.C. when NSA did their meeting in Washington. Nice Guy community, it is amazing to watch. Jane is like the queen bee with all of her little followers. Everybody follows from the guy that is the highest paid keynote speaker there to the person that is the newbie this is the first in green conference goer. Jane, you seem to know everybody. It's just incredible how you've networked yourself into that position.
It's actually a really good point in there, though, because when you first go to the National Speakers Association or any conference of your industry, recognizing that everyone puts on their pants one leg at a time is so important, and not to put people up on pedestals. There was a maybe one of the most famous speakers that I had put up on a massive pedestal. And I finally got a speaker that I was representing at the time, Vince Vicente, who was an Olympic athlete. I finally got them into a gig on the same platform, and I was so excited for Vince to meet this superstar, and that superstar could not have gone out of his way to be more of a jerk to Vince, and I was disappointed by that. So what that taught me, very, very, very valuable lesson, maybe 10 years into my career, was that everybody's kind of equal. Yeah. And that even if you're new to the industry, you're coming to the table with some real valuable knowledge. And I think that when I walk the halls of NSA, I really try to wear that, kind of what the nice guy's approach might be. Mm-hmm. Be humble, be kind, be a servant to these people. And when I've ever allowed my ego to get in the way, I've really not felt good afterwards. So, you know what? I can be an idiot sometimes too, but I will say that I try, and I hope that everybody realizes that nobody is above saying hello to you in an elevator.
Yeah. It's very humbling when you're that new guy and you have somebody that is what you think is your hero in whatever industry that you're in. It could be a no name for anybody else, but a hero to us. And you actually are treated like a real person, and you feel really good about it. And that takes you to the next level as a person, I think. Yeah,
and I remember, here's the bigs, the chicken soup guys, Jack Canfield. He's sitting up in the front row taking notes madly, and I think, oh, that's so cool, right. He's still there to learn from whoever's on the stage. And our industry is just a really, really brilliant place to be, and I have so much gratitude for the 30 years that I've been in it.
Yeah, and you do it well, and without ego. I don't know, when you said you could be something other than a very kind of
no question.
Let's have some fun for a second, Jane. If you had to pick a song title that represented your life, what would it be?
Well, I have a new event coming up, and I've just chosen it, and it's Sia's Unstoppable.
Oh,
how about that?
That's crazy. Hey? Unstoppable. I love that. I even had
you know this song.
Yeah. Well, it's all the kids are asking for it now. All the kids. It's all the rage.
It
Jane.
is. I didn't even know I was on the cutting edge of something there. I thought it'd been around for a long time, but yeah, I just stumbled across it and I thought, that's it. That's the song, Unstoppable.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Hey, Jane, do you have your cell phone anywhere near you?
I do not.
Oh, you don't? Okay, well, you know the answer to the question, though. Do you have an iPhone or something inferior?
iPhone. 7.
What did I? Oh, that's good. Yeah, you do. And let's see. I can't ask you the photo question. See, you got me all thrown off here.
What was the question going to be? What was the last photo?
The question was going to be, what's the last photo you took? You don't happen to know that, do you?
It would be my bathroom renovation.
Oh, you're going.
I've been kind of Instagramming it as it goes. And, what I'm selling here is a lifestyle. Yeah. And so I'm not shy about saying, here's something cool that we're doing, or, hey, we just bought a cottage, or, something like that, because that's what I'm selling is not only the ability to purchase what you want, but the freedom to use it to the degree that you would like to.
Absolutely. Well, you can't have something called the wealthy speaker and start putting out crappy people.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay, Jane, if our Nice Guy community wanted to get in touch with you, and you should, Nice Guy community, Jane is the one. If you're going to do anything with your speaking career, I have the connection, and it's Jane Atkinson. How can they get in touch with you, Jane?
Well, there is actually a freebie on the homepage at speakerlauncher.com, and it's a 3-part video series that talks you through the Ready, Aim, Fire process. I think that's an excellent starting place.
That is a great starting place. It's probably the starting place that I hit at the time, and I actually think a couple of our community members have already gotten in touch with you. Did Julie Riesler? I don't know if that name sounds familiar to you, or
possibly. Yes.
I know you get a lot of calls, but we have a lot of people in our community that have already expressed an interest, which is kind of what generated that. I got to get Jane on the show with us. Jane, thank you so very much for being a part of the community and for listening and for all the help you've provided throughout the years in helping me build my Nice Guy business.
Well, thank you, and thanks for modeling Nice Guys for everyone out there. I think that's just an amazing message.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks. Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Jane for being a part of the show today. We'll make sure we have all of the information in the show notes. In addition to the Patreon link, please participate and support the show. And Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
You've put enough in little Johnny's 529. Now, it's time to really help out someone in need. The Nice Guys on Business need your support. Please go to patreon.com, and for as little as $2 a month, you can help these guys continue to ramble on and on and on, week after week after week. Thank you for your support. And boy, is it weak.